Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on how any great creative project actually gets off the ground. We're breaking down those first, most crucial steps using a proven playbook that top designers and innovators swear by.
All right, so let's kick things off with a big question. When you see some amazing new product or a really genius solution to a problem, you have to wonder, where did that even come from? What was that first spark?
Well, I can tell you what it's not. It is almost never that classic cartoon image of a light bulb just flashing on above someone's head. In fact, starting a project with a fully formed idea can actually limit your potential. The real process is way more deliberate and honestly, a lot more interesting.
Today, we're going to walk through the 6 key stages of this journey. We'll cover how to go from just a vague idea to a focused, actionable plan, starting with finding a problem and taking it all the way to turning your research into a real solution.
First up, start with a problem. This is huge. The best approach for any major design project is to begin with a totally open mind. Don't start with a solution you want to build. Start by looking at the world around you and just searching for problems that need solving.
And the key is realizing these opportunities are often hidden in plain sight. They are the everyday frustrations, the little annoyances we all experience. A wobbly shopping cart, a heavy backpack. These aren't just complaints, they are potential design projects just waiting to happen.
Okay, so once you've spotted a problem, the next step is absolutely crucial. You have to move beyond just seeing the problem and start feeling it from the perspective of the person who's actually experiencing it. This is all about developing your empathy.
Empathy is really the core mindset of a designer. It's your ability to connect with and understand the needs of the user, what they say, what they do, what they think, and what they feel. It's about seeing the world through their eyes. And this empathetic approach helps you figure out the difference between a clear need versus a potential opportunity. See, a need is often driven by the consumer. It's a direct response to a demand. An opportunity can be more designer-driven, where you create a solution that you believe will be desirable. Understanding the user helps you know which one you're really tackling.
Let's look at a fantastic real-world example. A Sydney schoolgirl, Angelina Arora, didn't start by trying to invent a new material. Her journey began by simply observing a problem at her local supermarket, the huge amount of waste from single-use plastic bags. She identified a critical need first.
Now, with a need identified and empathy as your guide, you need a plan. You can't just dive in. It is time to create a blueprint for your investigation, a structured plan to guide your exploration and discovery.
You know, a simple table, just like this, is an incredibly powerful tool. You outline what you need to investigate, why it's relevant to your project, and how you're going to get that information. This keeps your research laser-focused and ensures every action has a very clear purpose.
This planning phase naturally leads into the next phase, testing, learning, and repeating. This is where we shift from thinking to actually doing. It's time to gather information, conduct experiments, and start putting your ideas to the test.
Your investigation is going to involve 2 types of research. Primary research is information you generate yourself through things like surveys, interviews, or your own experiments. Secondary research is when you draw on the findings of others, using sources like books, journals, and of course, reliable websites. A good project always uses both.
So let's jump back to our case study. Angelina conducted primary research by getting her hands dirty. For a school science project, she created her first bioplastic prototypes using a common material you probably have in your pantry, cornstarch.
So what was the result? Well, it didn't quite work as a shopping bag. She found that the cornstarch plastic decomposed way too quickly when it got wet, meaning it just wasn't durable enough for what she wanted it to do. But here's the crucial point. This was not a failure. Not at all. It was a successful lesson. She learned what didn't work, which is an incredibly valuable piece of data. Great design is always an iterative process of testing, learning from the results, and then trying again.
And this just brilliantly illustrates the importance of documentation. By formally writing up your experiments with a clear aim, method, result, and conclusion, you make sure that every test, successful or not, provides a valuable lesson that directs what you do next.
Okay, before you get too deep into building and prototyping, you need to pause and define what success actually looks like for your project. You have to set the goalposts.
You do this by setting very clear criteria to evaluate success, which usually fall into 2 categories. Functional criteria to find what your project must do, like a bag needing to hold 5 kilograms, and aesthetic criteria to find what it must look like. For instance, being semi-transparent.
And these aren't just suggestions. These criteria become the standard against which you measure every single idea and every prototype. They're the vital tool that keeps your project on track and allows you to objectively determine if you've actually succeeded.
And that brings us to our final stage, turning all of your findings into action. This is where you apply everything you've learned from your research and all that experimentation directly to your design.
This is where the rubber meets the road. Your research is only beneficial if you actually use it. You need to show how your test results led you to modify a sketch, how your experiments proved a certain material was the best choice, and you have to justify your final decisions with that evidence.
And this is how you close the loop. It's the process of transforming those initial observations, those everyday problems, and all of your experiments into a final design solution that is thoughtful, well-reasoned, and based on solid evidence.
So, there you have it. You now have the map for the designer's journey, a step-by-step process for turning frustration into real innovation. The only question left is, what everyday problem are you going to solve first?